Hey, hey.
Hello. Feeling pretty good. We're wrapping up a lot of the newsroom stories this week because the showcase is on Thursday, Friday.
Yes.
And we want to give students time to finish up their multimedia projects. But as of right now, we have 40 newsroom articles that have either been published or are finishing up to be published by the end of the week.
Wow.
So I think we had 14 students in the newsroom, so we did
Massive
pretty
work.
pretty good things this summer.
Massive.
Yeah. Yeah, I think once we got here, seeing the pace that they were able to pick up learning in real time instead of just planning for it was pretty eye-opening. One example was we had originally planned for 4 hours of lesson on the idea of pitching a story and then having a pitch session with everyone, but we were able to do it in only 2 hours. So that kind of went above our expectations, and then we were able to finish up our crash course of newsroom expectations in about a week when we had originally planned for it to be like a week and a half, 2 weeks. So students have been doing a lot of independent work for most of the time here, so it's been pretty helpful in terms of lesson planning and stuff. We've watched a couple of supplemental films and whatnot with them to break up the independent work, but they all were really ready to just hit the ground running, and have really done so over the past couple weeks. Yeah, I think a lot of the facilitation strategies learned during onboarding have followed through. I definitely feel pretty confident wrangling a classroom of 14 high school kids, which I went into onboarding not feeling confident in at all. I think also the idea of having physical worksheets or physical things for students to interact with in the classrooms, I never really realized the importance of that until we were in onboarding and learning about the ways that students interact with material. Because a lot of my time in high school was things on my computer, and seeing the differences between how they're interacting with work when it's online versus physically in front of them has been really interesting. It's definitely been a little stressful at times. I didn't realize how much logistical work would go into being an editor and just figuring out how to manage my time when I have 7 or 8 kids who all need one-on-one time during a period of an hour, because they don't have that one-on-one time and they can't move forward in their reporting process or stories. But one of the ways that we set up the newsroom this summer was I was editing short-form stories, Tori was working on long-form stories as our respective editing positions. So we started off with everyone pitched a story on the same day. Short form stories were given a deadline of 3-day turnaround. Long form stories were given a 5-day turnaround, which really forced students to start doing that research and reporting, so there wasn't much procrastination that could happen, because they were pretty tight turnarounds, and students had to have their first draft in those first couple of days, and then we've done both close editing with them and also just leaving comments on Google Docs, kind of having a back to writer relationship, but also knowing when to take over the editorial grammar checks and things like that. So yeah, I think the hardest part was just figuring out time to talk to each student every day when everyone was in different parts of their research process. Some students were doing multiple interviews for stories, some needed to send out a bunch of interview requests, so being able to help with each aspect of that in a tight turnaround while also giving the students the chance to do the work themselves instead of micromanaging and doing it for them.
Yeah, and as you as an educator also process everything.
Yeah, figuring out how to pivot and use my time more wisely for the next day. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think the interpersonal relationships with them. There are a couple students that I've been able to connect with by we went to the same high school. Some students are interested in the BU journalism program, so I've been able to have conversations with them outside of the classroom about my experience there. I've been talking to a lot of them about what they're planning on doing for applying for college, just like interests outside of class too. So I've been able to form a couple relationships with students like that over the summer. So definitely being able to bring that to another youth program, but also knowing where the educator and like the interpersonal relationship line is drawn, like knowing when to be stern with them, and not always being seen as the fun teacher, but knowing that there are expectations and responsibilities that everyone is responsible for. So I think that's probably what I would take away the most. I think definitely having the idea of what my goal at the end of the summer is and then working backwards. I definitely did that at the beginning of the program, and it's kind of gone a little wishy-washy now, but I mean the goal of having stories published has been met.
I mean,
so
40 plus.
yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.